What's up, everybody? So this is my review of season 2 of 1923. This is one of the origin stories that is related to Yellowstone. And this is actually the second one that they have. There's another one, 1883, which I highly recommend. It's one season, I believe 8 episodes, and it just kind of tells the story of how the Dutton family even arrived at the plot of land that they eventually are defending and trying to keep for themselves. 1923 is a continuation of that story, so it's a different generation. And the first season, top notch, great. Maybe a couple things here and there that I thought were a bit much, but overall I thought it was amazing. So I was really looking forward to season 2 and how the loose ends that were in at the end of season 1 were going to be tied up in season 2. And if there's something that that's the thing that kind of bothered me about season 2. So many of the episodes, I mean, it is only 8 episodes. The last episode is 2 hours long. So it's basically like a mini movie, but it's also a series finale. So I kind of dug it and I enjoyed it. The pacing with which things in the plot progress is painfully slow. There were certain episodes where at the end of it, my wife would look at each other and ask, what just happened? Because there's so much character development and world building that there's nothing that progresses the story forward. It's just more of a reflection of the hardship of things at the time. And fair enough, but at the same time, instead of me wanting to tune in for the next episode to see how it's going to resolve things that happened in the previous episode, it was more of, hey, it's going to end at the end of this season, and I'm curious to see how it all unfolds, but I'll get around to it. So instead of like being very instead of anticipating the episode coming out on Sundays, it would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Like I'll get to it eventually. So it doesn't really hook you in for each episode. Now, having said that, if there's one part of that I did kind of appreciate is one of the things that is kind of hammered home, and I think it's hammered home a bit too much, is how difficult travel was in 1923. So leaving off of season 1, the Dutton family, the main Helen leaders of the family, played by Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. Their family is almost being killed off by Timothy Dalton's character, Whitfield, who's this big entrepreneurial tycoon type character who wants to take the piece of land and then develop it for his own riches. And the last remaining nephew, because they didn't have any kids, is Spencer, played by Brendan Sklenar. And so he's in Africa, and he's making his way back to the States. Now, at the beginning of the season, he basically is arriving in Texas, in Galveston. And so now it's tracing his journey from Galveston all the way up to Montana. And yeah, it's rough going. But at the same time, there are other storylines that also talk about how difficult travel is. You have Spencer's wife, Alex, who's in England, and she has to make her way somehow to Montana. And train rides and snowstorms, and just being attacked because she's a woman and she's an easy target to be mugged. And then you have the side story of Rainwater, who is a descendant of the Rainwater character in Yellowstone. And she's basically just trying to escape the law, the U.S. Marshals. And, trying to find a safe piece of land somewhere, going by horse the entire way and trying not to get caught. And it was just like every single character had to, in some way, show how difficult it was to travel. And I'm like, let's get to the conflict between you guys and Whitfield. And then there's Whitfield's character world, where he's abusing women, and it's like, okay, I get it. He's a real POS. Okay, but you don't have to continue hammering it home. Now, when eventually he gets his comeuppance, no spoilers on how it happens, but when it happens, it's very satisfying. Because it's been built up, and you've seen what a terrible human being he is. And then when it all just kind of comes to, you're like, that was awesome. And then the same thing for one of the characters, actually two of the characters that are chasing rainwater. So that's kind of the thing. Like, okay, look, there's no spoilers in the sense of the good guys win, bad guys lose, but the way that the bad guys lose, it feels satisfying. So I think that went a long way into dealing with the difficulty of, okay, again, this person has got to take a car. They have to walk for a long period of time. Oh, there's a snowstorm and they can't take their horses, so they have to flip the wagon over and stay underneath so they don't freeze to death, and on and on and on it went. But when the plot actually continues to unfold, it's great. Like when Spencer arrives home, it's awesome. When Whitfield gets, what's coming to him, it's awesome, And, some little elements of tragedy as well that really hit you emotionally. And I'm going to say Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren kill it. They do an absolutely bang job with their performances. I mean, I think this is some of the best work Harrison Ford has done since, I can't even remember, to be very honest with you. But he's still has that gravitas. He still has that magnetism. You cannot stop watching him. And it's just a whole lot of fun when the two of them are doing their thing. So as the rating goes, I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10. So it's still worth watching. You just do have to kind of drudge through some episodes at times. Anyways, what about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, give me a follow, and I'll see you guys next time.